It's written in the Bible about the garden in John 19, verse 41, that the place where Jesus was crucified, that was close to a garden, and that's why I brought you here. And in the garden was a new tomb over there where nobody had been buried yet. Why was it so important that the place of crucifixion was close to the tomb? Which kind of day was it? Friday and Shabbat. You know what Shabbat is? Yeah. We still celebrate that every Friday around 6, 7 o'clock. And Jesus laid off his own life very quick before Shabbat. And you know, you have to bury Jewish people before Shabbat. I worked for many years close by in a religious hospital in intensive care, and also we had to bury Jewish people before Shabbat. There were also a lot of people here in town, and they were celebrating a special holiday, which we still celebrate, Pesach you call it, that the Lord brought his people out of the land of Egypt to Israel, and we still celebrate this. We are sure that Jesus really died and rose from the dead because out came blood and water, and when that comes together in the lungs you actually suffocate, and that's how a lot of people would die, by suffocation. But Jesus laid off his own life. The Muslims, they believe something else. They have a big burial place up here. They say that he took Judas out of the Garden of Gethsemane and they crucified him, not Jesus. There are 3 versions of the story actually. So, but there is happening something very joyful here in the Middle East. A Jewish man in our congregation in Christchurch in the old city, he's working for reconciliation between Arab and Jewish people, told us that it's unbelievable how many Muslims there come to faith now here in the Middle East. The government in Iran is even worried about it. I had a lady here from Holland, she was Muslim in the past. She came to me, she said, I saw Jesus coming to me and I opened my heart to the Lord. Yes, she got a revelation of the Lord. I will show you 2 things in the garden, very interesting. A big water system. Those people over there, they are sitting on top of it. It's very deep, don't worry, they won't fall down. It can contain like 1 million liters of rainwater. And this was found by a German man, Konrad Schick, around 1847. We have another thing that is also very interesting. We don't know exactly from which time, but this we know exact. The big wine press, and it's next to you at your left side, built typically in a Roman form, and this was found around 1924 and goes back to the 1st century. Now there was a man, and he was one of the 3 richest families here in Jerusalem, Joseph of Arimathea, and it's written about in the Bible. It was allowed to him and Nicodemus to bury Jesus. By Pilate, he had his residence here in the old city. There were a lot of Jewish people here in town, and there's a very old anti-Semitic lie from the Middle Ages that tells us that all Jewish people cried out to crucify Jesus. And historically that's also not quite true, because there was only place for a limited number of people next to the house of Pilate, and there were much more people here in town. A lot of those people were also expecting the Messiah that would free them from the Romans. Must have been a big shock for those people that Jesus was crucified, yeah? But God turned everything for a good, and Joseph got his tomb back because Jesus rose from the dead. And that's why you're here to celebrate together. About the tomb. And old surroundings of Byzantine Christians from the 4th century. That's where we find something very interesting in the tomb. A cross, when you go in and look to your right, please. Jesus Christus, Alpha and Omega. Jesus, the beginning and the end. We have a cross outside the tomb at the left side with an anchor. That's probably from the Crusaders. At the right side, you see signs of an earthquake. How are we sure that there was a real earthquake in that time that Jesus was crucified? They found geological signs in the neighborhood of the Dead Sea that tell us that there was a real earthquake. We find an example of the stone, the round stone. That's only an example, the real one was very big. Now in Matthew 28 in the Bible, an angel comes down, takes away the stone. Did Jesus need that? No, because he had already risen. He had a kind of glorified and eternal body. And that's a body that we will also get when we go to the Lord. Yeah? What a hope for the future.
Amen.
Now he could also suddenly appear to people, and that's written about in the Bible, 40 days long. I believe that's very important for today, and I would like you to take one sentence back with you to your country. He never leaves me or forsakes me. No minute of the day, no minute of the night. The Lord wants to be with you. And that's not dependent on our circumstances or feelings. I've been through very difficult situations here in town in intensive care, bomb attacks and things like that. But the Lord has given me every time strength and hope and joy for the future to go on. He wants to be also with you. Let's celebrate this with the last picture, and then I will allow you to go to the tomb. There was more place for family members of Joseph, and in the Bible it's written that the Marys and the disciples come in and they looked to the right where Jesus has been laying. I want to invite you to come also. Have a very, very blessed time together. So let's go to the tomb. If you want to support us,